Hello, Rawlicious souls. Welcome back to my channel. I will be interviewing, we have on the amazing Kev Ramon, who's actually doing a watermelon cleanse. Now, we've been friends for a while, and I love his truth seeking, how he just shares, the no BS. I love it. I really resonate, and I love that he's on this watermelon because I've been on quite a few mono cleanses and the fruit challenges. I did 2 months recently on all fruit, but Kev's really pushing it now with the watermelon. I'm super inspired, and I've actually started to incorporate more and more watermelon, and I feel like I do feel I'll be doing the watermelon cleanse with you at some point, Kev. So interesting. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, Kev, and what got you to this point? Because you're on now 60, is it 62 or 63 days of watermelon?
Today is day 67, I believe.
Oh, wow, I've missed nearly a week. Wow, 67
I'm
days.
I'm I'm coming up on 70, the big 70. Yeah.
Amazing.
Um, yep, and I feel great. I feel amazing. I feel amazing. Um, well, I guess how I got on this journey is I don't remember exactly because I've been in a transition phase for a really long time.
Yeah.
When I started transitioning, I had never heard of terms like vegan or raw vegan or fruitarian or frugivore. I never heard of any of that. I didn't like the way I was feeling in my body. I remember that I was fat, I was overweight, and I was starting to feel it. And I wanted to get in better shape. So what I started doing was just learning about what I was eating. I started reading labels. I started reading what they call the ingredients, which are really poisons, chemicals listed on the back of everything I was eating, and I would look them up, and I would look up the side effects. And that's what got me started, because as I started learning about the things I was eating, I stopped eating them, right? Like, I don't want cancer, so why would I eat this? I don't want heart disease, why would I eat this? I don't want to have a stroke, why would I eat this? I don't want Alzheimer's. So one by one, I just started making better choices. For example, I used to drink vitamin D cow's milk. My transition there was, I went from there. Once I learned about that, I started drinking 2% milk. Then I learned about that. I started drinking skim milk. Then I learned it was all basically the same. I started drinking almond milk. And then eventually I just stopped drinking milk altogether. But that's what all of my transitions look like, basically. And, it could be like years from where I started to where I ended up at. So, this went on for, I don't know, probably about 10 years, I would say, before I got to this point of just eating nothing but fruit. And through social media, you know, I started hearing people talk about. I remember I heard this guy say it for the first time. His name is Raw Marabi or something like that. He's in Canada. And I guess he has a clinic. He works with people and helps them heal. And he has his own herbs and stuff like that. And he would always say that you need to go on an all fruit diet. And the first time I heard that, I'm like, what?
Mm.
What are you talking about? And he said it so casually, like you could just do that. And I'm like, this dude is crazy. Like, how can you just say that like that? But he kept showing up at my feed, and I kept listening to him. And then one day I just reached out to him, like, I gotta talk to this guy. And I just sent him a message, and he responded back, and we got to talking, and I learned a little bit about him, and that's what really intrigued me. That's the first time I had ever even heard of doing anything like that. I wasn't a fruit eater at all. I was one of those people that if you mention fruit to me, I would say, quit playing. I need some real food. I'm
Yeah.
hungry. I want a steak. I want a triple, quadruple burger with loads of cheese. And, you know, I don't want no fruit. I didn't eat vegetables.
Used to see it
I,
as just a snack, an apple as just an apple.
yeah. Yeah. Like I never even heard the concept of fruit being a meal. Like he would say this too. Like, this is your meal, fruit, right? And I'm like I'm eating like probably 2,000 calories per meal. You know, it's like that was just unheard of for me. So, but I wasn't closed minded about it. I listened to him. Like I said, I reached out to him and was talking to him. And then I just start hearing about it more and more. And I just became more and more intrigued because ultimately I want to be in excellent health. Like the entire time, like while I'm here, I want to be in excellent health. And I know you don't have to be sick. You don't, sickness is not age related. It has nothing to do with genetics. It's not hereditary. It has everything to do with what you put in your body. And the truth is that most of us, we're poisoning ourselves every day, every time we eat, because we're eating things that are not even food. Like we've been brainwashed. We believe this stuff is food. It's not food. Food is not made in a factory or in a laboratory. It's made in nature. Man cannot make food. Only God can make food, or whatever you believe. You know, whatever's responsible for all this, whatever terminology you use. But man cannot make food. Food is not being created anymore. Food is already here. It was here before we got here. So these are some of the things that I learned that, you know, and I really tried to stick to my sad diet, right? I really tried to stay in that culture. And so I'm eliminating things and I feel like I'm replacing them with better options. You know, instead of the chips with salt, I would go with the chips with no salt. Or instead of the chips cooked in oil, I would go with the baked chips. And just the more I kept learning about what I was eating, it's just like, this is bad too. Like, come on. Everything. Like I literally, like I remember, you know, standing in a grocery store, like, and just looking around. Like I can't eat nothing in here.
It's
Like
scary,
everything,
isn't it? What they put it
everything,
in.
yeah, everything in here is poisonous.
Yeah.
Everything in here causes some sort of disease.
Mm,
Everything.
yeah.
And I wasn't ready for fruits yet. So I'm like, the only thing I could eat in here is like fruits and vegetables. That's it. And I wasn't ready to accept that. But eventually, because I do care about my health and because I do know it's, excuse me, it's within my control. The decisions I make every time I eat and put something in my body, I'm either supporting health or I'm supporting sickness and dis-ease in the body. The responsibility is all on me. I could do whatever I want. I could go whichever way I want to go. I choose health. Every time I put something in my mouth, I choose health. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm definitely not saying that by any means that like I've had, I mean, I believe my journey is perfect because like I don't believe in slip ups, right? Every time I went back to eating something vegan, because I got to a point to where vegan eating was unhealthy, right? Like I understand that what they call vegan food is not food at all either. That stuff is just as bad. There's just no animal products in it, but all the chemicals are in it. All the addictive drugs are in it. It's just as toxic. It's just as addictive. It's just as poisonous. So I went back to that a lot. Like I did a year on fruit. And then after that year, I just started falling off. And it's like,
Slippery
what's
slope, in it.
going on? Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. I'm like, what's going on? Like I just did fruit for a whole year,
wow.
right? And I'm falling off. Like I'm going, this is when I started having to do shadow work. This is when,
Yeah.
and I had probably about a year of just going back and forth between the vegan stuff and the fruit, the vegan stuff and the fruit. And I started eating the vegan stuff more and more. And it started getting harder and harder to eat fruit. And it's like, and I just started doing shadow work, which shadow work is my lifestyle anyway. You know, I'm always focusing on me and, looking for weaknesses and how I can improve and do better. So when I start having these issues, I'm like, this is not the direction I want to go. I want to get back on the fruit. So through doing my shadow work, I realized, and there's layers to it. So I realized I was an emotional eater. I realized I had real addictions, right? I realized I was addicted to salt. I was addicted to starches. I was addicted to fats and oils. I realized that there was a point where I thought I was addicted to food. I realized that it wasn't food I was addicted to at all. I realized food is not addictive. Drugs are.
Yeah.
I would eat fruit. Like I would eat mango. Like I would eat a couple mangoes and I would just ask the question, why don't these mangoes make me feel like this vegan pizza does? Right? Or these vegan tacos or these vegan wings. They make me feel like really good, like emotionally, like I'm happier when I eat them. If I have a rough day or a long day and I eat that, I feel better, right? That's why they're called comfort foods. They comfort you. They make you feel better. Food don't do that. I would eat a mango and it could be delicious as ever. I still feel the same.
Yeah.
I don't feel better. Like I just feel regular. And I'm like, fruit would be a lot easier to eat if it made me feel like this
Mhm.
vegan pizza or this or that. It would be effortless. So just shadow work and just digging and exploring and asking these questions. I realized I was a real live drug addict. Like no different than the person addicted to crack or meth or heroin. It's no different. The only difference is my drugs were easy to get.
And
I could
encouraged.
go to the store.
It's
Huh?
encouraged constantly.
Yeah, yeah, right. So if say like a crack addict never ran out of crack, you wouldn't see them. They wouldn't be breaking in people's houses, and to get money to buy crack or any. Like if they could just go on a 7-Eleven and buy crack, you know, and if it was 79 cents, instead of $10 or $20, you could go in any grocery store and buy a bag of sugar for like $5. And it's the most toxic, most harmful drug on the planet. And it's responsible for more deaths, more sickness, more disease than any other drug on the planet combined. You could the crack, the heroin, the meth, the fentanyl, like cocaine. You put all them together, and sugar, it can't even compete with sugar, and the damage that sugar is causing. So I'm learning all these things. I'm learning about me. I'm learning I have real issues. So now it's like, well, why am I emotional? Why am I an emotional eater? Why am I chasing feelings when I eat? Why do I eat to feel better instead of eating for nutritional value or for my health? Like what's wrong with me? Why am I not happy enough to where I don't have to chase feelings? You know, and the shadow work. This shadow work probably took place over the course of a year because there's layers that you got to get through. You find out this, and then you go deeper, and then you find out this, and then you go deeper and you find out this, and you find out this, and you just keep going till you get at the bottom, you know. And at the bottom of all addiction, and it doesn't matter what the drug is, it doesn't matter who the person is. The cause of all addiction is the same across the board. It's ungratefulness, and that ungratefulness, the foundation of that ungratefulness are lies, right? So I give you like a prime example, right? Drug addicts do, we all drug addicts, they do drugs for the same reason. They want to feel better. it. There is no other reason. I mean, I do know people that were forced to do drugs, but that don't count. That's not a, we want to feel better. People want to feel better.
Or escape.
Why? Yeah, so why? Don't you, this is what I ask myself, like, don't you have enough reasons to feel better right now? Like, look at how blessed you are, right? You're alive, you're healthy, you got a place to stay, you got food, you work, you make money. Like, there's so many, like, I can't even name all the blessings in my life. It's like, why isn't that good enough? Why are you still complaining? Why are you still seeking pleasure in what you eat? Right? Not even like really, well, I was understanding it, but it just wasn't like, it's worse for me because I understand, like I understood what I was eating was poisonous. Like I knew the diseases that the stuff in what I was eating were linked to. Like I've been studying this for a long time and I'm still eating it. It's like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is so wrong with your life right now that you just can't be grateful for your blessings and stop chasing feelings through what you eat? And that's when I started the watermelon. It's like, you know what? Absolutely right. I have enough to be thankful for right now. I shouldn't be chasing anything. Like, I'm good. But see, I meant to give an example. So here we go. Like drug addicts, it's real common, right? A real common lie that they believe is those insecurities that they have. Nearly all of us have them, unless you've healed, right? If you haven't healed, then you have insecurities. You have low self-esteem in some areas. Some people feel worthless, hopeless. They just feel like losers. They feel unattractive. They feel ugly. They feel too fat, too skinny, too whatever. In society, this is not just like coincidence. This is societal brainwashing and programming, because the so-called beauty industry is like $1 billion industry, all built off of the insecurities of people. They make people think that they're not good enough. They're not pretty enough. They're not handsome enough. They're not enough. And these are all lies, because we're all enough. But if you start believing these lies, then you become ungrateful. You're focused on the lies that you're believing and you complain. You become negative. And if this goes on long enough, like it just gets to a point to where you just can't handle it. This is why people want to commit suicide. And I've been there. I spent most of my early years just wanting to kill myself and just trying to figure out how, because of the lies I was believing about myself. And so they brainwash us to believe this way. They brainwash us out of loving ourselves just the way we are right now. They make us hate ourselves.
Yeah.
They make us look in the mirror and not like what we see. And so, we have to escape some sort of way. Some people need a more extreme escape. Some people can just, go to the bar or whatever and have a few drinks and hang out with friends, and that's their escape. That's good enough. But some people are hurting more severely, and that's not good enough. And eating is not good enough. They need something stronger, something harder, something more powerful to escape, because they can do things other people do and still feel everything. And they don't want to feel that. So they need something stronger. But we're all in the same boat to different degrees, right? Unless you've been healed from it. I was in that same boat. Every time I was going to the vegan restaurants, and I'm doing the same thing. It's just not to the extreme as others are. So these are things that I just discovered about myself. And this is why I started the watermelon. Because one, as an expression of gratitude, as a decision, I'm making a decision. I am not chasing feelings or pleasure or comfort through what I eat anymore. Instead, I'm going to be thankful. And then two, I wanted to break the addictions to all the unhealthy things I was eating that I knew were unhealthy, that I know is not food. I wanted to break those addictions. You know, all my life, I've been bullied by addiction and my emotions. Addiction and my emotions. They've always told me what to eat, how much to eat, when to eat, to overeat. You know what I mean? I'm full and they still telling me to keep eating, keep eating, keep eating. All my life, that's what it was, you know? And I said, no, I don't want to live like this no more. I want to take my power back. I want to be the one that decide what I eat, when I eat, and how much I eat. Not my emotions, not my feelings. So that was the other reason I started this watermelon, because this is it. This is all we eating. Like emotions, you have no say in this. Addiction, you have no say in this. And I was just ready to, for whatever, however hard it get, we going through this. I want to take my power back, you know? And so that's why I started this watermelon. And like literally, I would say like a couple of days into it, like I felt the addiction was gone. Like I just felt it. You know, the first day. So today is my 67th day in a row. But I actually have 70 days, right? Because I started the watermelon. That's why I started it, everything I just explained to you. And I did 3 days. But see, I didn't know that I was going to be doing this. It was really spontaneous. Like everything that I just told you, like that happened one night, and like the next day, it's like, this is what we doing. So it was very spontaneous. It wasn't planned. But I had just bought a lot of strawberries and blueberries too. And every time I would go in the fridge to get watermelon, I see these two big glass bowls of strawberries and blueberries. And that was just, it was one of my favorite combinations.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking past them like, no, no. And then I got to like day 3. I didn't even think I could make it through day 1 on just all watermelon. I had got to eating cooked food like every day, like literally every day. I had fallen back into that trap. And it's interesting because I never knew I was that far gone until I started doing this watermelon and look back like, wow, you were out there deep. Didn't even know it. Justifying it, like, you know. And I don't necessarily feel like I was eating unhealthy because I was eating, you know, I was eating quinoa, I was eating chickpeas, and, you know, that was pretty much it. But still, I was still so far away from where I had come. And I was addicted to that too. It's the starch. I was addicted to it. And then I couldn't eat it just as it was. I had to add salt. So now we got starches and salt.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about this like, you can't even eat that by itself. But when you put the salt on it, you eat a whole pot and still want to make more.
Never
So
satisfied.
I'm seeing, yeah, right? So I'm starting to make the connections. Like if you really like this, you could eat it without salt. You could eat it just as it is. Salt makes anything taste good. Like it does. You put salt on anything, it's gonna make it better. It was still addiction. It wasn't even about, okay, quinoa, right? Like I've heard people say quinoa is technically a fruit because quinoa are seeds. But it's still addiction. I'm putting salt on it. I can't control when I stop eating. It's still addiction. No matter what I tried to say, it all came back to that. It's still addiction. you still have a problem. So I kind of lost my
Well,
I
you
had
did
a
the
thought before I said that.
3 days, and then you had the berries, and then you went
Thank
and did the
you.
full, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so I did the 3 days and then I stopped after 3 days. I said I can't let all them strawberries and blueberries go bad. I can't do it.
I
So
understand that. Delicious.
so that fourth day, I did the 3 days on watermelon. That fourth day, I just ate strawberries and blueberries till they were gone. And then that fifth day, I got back on it. So actually, I am at 70 days, but I'm really only counting the consecutive days.
Okay.
But the reason this has been so easy for me, and it has been like shockingly easy to do this. We got time, I think. I just want to tell you the story. Like literally the night before I started to do this also, I was literally digging in my trash outside to get the vegan chips and the guacamole out the trash that I had threw away. Because on a Friday, I had bought three. I was, you know, cravings, addictions. Cravings are nothing more than symptoms of addiction,
Mm-hmm.
telling me what to eat. So I
Yeah.
went and got 3 bags of vegan chips, 2 containers of guacamole. Got home, I ate 1.5 bags. And it's just like a drug addiction. After I ate that, it's like, it's that battle. I don't want to, but I do want to, right? So as soon as the addiction was satisfied, everything was satisfied, all the raging, you know, I threw the rest of it away because I didn't want to be eating it anyway, although I did, you know, and I threw it away in the trash outside because my thinking is there's no way I would go out here and dig this out the trash. I'm trying not to eat this. This is this is me trying not to eat no more of this. And a couple days later, in the evening, around 10 something in the evening, I got home from my brother's house and I came in the house and I'm just sitting on the couch and it's just quiet. It's just me in here. And I'm just sitting there and boom, I thought about them chips. I was running away from being bored. I was bored and I
Mm.
was running from that. I didn't like the way it felt. I thought about them chips and without any hesitation, I went outside and dug them out the trash, brought them in the house and ate them like wasn't nothing to it. That's what happened. That was my night the day before I started this. So, and that's kind of, you know, helped highlight what was going on with me. The shadow work like that helped me see better, you know. Um, so I lost it again. Where was I going? I forgot
Yeah,
where I
well,
was
that's
going.
why where the turning point happened. I think we need these turning points and everything. Like you, I'm really glad you've shared that we need these lessons. It reinforces. I think you don't truly unless you've got if you're aware of it and it's intentional, then that's where shifts really change. It's when we're doing things unintentional, and most of us are. Like through our journeys, it's been here and there, but eventually, once you learn more about this lifestyle and you actually do these challenges or go raw or cleaner and you go back, you realize how dehydrating these foods are, how addictive they are, how spiraling the spiral you go on. Then you truly know because there's this part of you that's trying to justify, like you were sharing, justify that these foods, oh, it's quinoa, it's just cooked food. Why are we making so? I don't want to be an extremist. And we used to look at, like, I've known a fruitarian 13 years ago. I first met James, who was a fruitarian in town. It's one of my really good friends here. And I just thought, that's so far away from where I am, but I was intrigued, and that did set me on the path. And it's taken me over 13 years, and it was 8 years ago when I went high raw, but only 3 years ago fully raw. And I still there is these moments I go to eating cooked and try and justify it. And it's interesting to listen to these thoughts that come up. These are just the addictions, and obviously chemicals have the microbes and all these nasties that are crying out for them. So you're battling the psychological. That's why I love that you did share about the shadow work, because that's predominantly, I would say 80, 90% of the challenge is the work we do. The food is the foundation. You're going to have the psychological effects with the cravings, but we want to get deeper. And that's why I'm inspired by yourself and others that are eating a fruit, especially mono fruits, because you're cutting out all the addictions and you're really digging deep on your shadow work, and the healing really takes place there. And I feel like that's the most, it's so challenging. That's why there's not a lot of people that stick to the fruitarian, because it's so strong in society. Look at what we're up against, all this BS, these foods, and they're saying that you've got an eating disorder or you're crazy. I mean, you've had some resistance I've seen on Facebook. I'm fascinated by those that are going against the grain and speaking up, and I love that you're speaking your truth. And for me, you're really, you're going deep on your work, and that for me, I absolutely am so inspired by. So you're inspiring others to get away from these addictions that are causing us so much pain, so much suffering. And now for you, I'm glad that you shared, just because I didn't know your whole story. I think what will be awesome, Ken, is to get you back on the channel and open it up to some questions. So I'll put it before for the next cut, if you're okay with that. I'd love to open it up to those, because there's so many questions you get. I've seen, is it sustainable? How long are you going to go for? There's a couple I'll ask you now, but I really wanted to know the backstory of you leading up to this. And so fascinating to see that even before that shift happened, you actually ate those, you went into the garbage can to dig it out. And I've been there, and I know most of us have been in those moments where we're like, wow, this is a drug. This is a drug addict behavior. And it is, it's the most addictive drug. And I would say the most hardest, because it's acceptable and encouraged in society. And it's frightening. It's frightening, but we can take our power back by, and even if people are skeptical, do it, try it, explore this path and see how addictive it is. It's like those when I'm sharing, I've got a client now who's struggling to come off coffee, and they're justifying sometimes, but coffee ain't that bad. And she's sending me all these reviews on how coffee is so good for you. And I'm like, but look how addicted you are. You're trying to convince me to stick. I was like, this just shows me this is addictive. If something is, you've got an attachment to it, you are addicted. And why are you addicted? So it's interesting to see, and I'm glad that you're bringing this up about the lies and seeing through this. It is overwhelming for some people, and that's why you don't have to do it overnight. I mean, you may find out all this information, and it's just like, this is not going in my body. And the mono cleanses really opens up the veil, I would say, and that's where you really do see the truth. And I see you speaking so much, because how many downloads do you get now? When I go on the fruit cleansing, any cleansing where there's less digestion, my whole perception of the world, everything is just clear. And I see that's what you're sharing. You're seeing like what really is going on, the truth.
It's powerful in so many ways. Like one thing I realized is the longer you do, just say mono eating, right? The longer you do it, the more you benefit from it. Because I'm benefiting in ways that I never even would have imagined were possible. And like there's no ceiling on it. Like you can just keep going higher and higher, and when you beat the addiction, when you're really free from all the addictions, it's just easy to do. I haven't had any cravings. Like, I mean, like tiny, tiny ones, like easy to just ignore. Nothing like, because I've done cleanses and fasting. I've done that a lot throughout my life. Even when I was, eating a sad diet, I've had periods in there where I would do some sort of fast or cleanse. And I'm always thinking, like, man, as soon as I get done with this, what I'm
Yeah.
gonna eat, I'm going right back. I'm going right back, you know? And this one is different. Like this has been like so effortless for me because I'm really free. And people have asked me how long are you gonna do, and I've never set a finish line. You
Yeah.
know, um, I'm definitely going at least 100 days. You know,
Yeah.
and probably until I can't get any more watermelon because the momentum that's built up from this is just incredible. Like I never would have imagined that eating watermelon would have such a tremendous impact on people, like literally all over the world. I talk to people
Yeah.
all over the world about this, and they're starting it. Like they'll message me day one. I'll see their posts on their page. I'm on day 3. I'm on day 7. I'm like, wow. And so there's such a momentum. Like there's literally a movement going on behind this now. And there's such a momentum. I don't want to interrupt it. I want to keep it going because the longer I do it, the less people will doubt it. If I'm 10 days in, 20 days in, the doubts are still high. You know, 30, 40, people are starting to go, what's going on here?
Still alive,
You know,
it's still going.
still going. I'm working out like
Yeah.
five up, on average 5 times a week. I mean, like heavy, like with weights, like really going hard in the gym, you
Yeah.
know, and so I just like the way this is going. And so I feel like I'm just gonna continue until watermelon just aren't available anymore.
How
And
long you got then,
it's
do you think, in season for you?
say that again.
How long is the watermelon in season for you? How long you got?
Here, uh, probably till around September. I asked the guy at the farmers market today about that, and he said he wasn't sure. Definitely October, you're not getting any watermelon. September, you may, you know, find them scattered here and there, you know. Um, so I'm gonna say like around September is about where they start phasing out. So, um, yeah, and now I just want to what I want is I want people to stop asking me questions about where do you get your protein? Like where do you get all the other nutrients that you need? I want people to stop asking me that. And I want people to start asking themselves, maybe I've been lied to my entire life about what I need. Maybe I don't need protein. Maybe I don't need so much of this. Maybe I don't need to eat the flesh of dead animals to get what I need. Maybe I don't need to drink milk from a cow to get the calcium I need. Maybe I don't need any of what they said in the proportions that they said. Maybe fruit really is a complete food. Maybe fruit really does give you everything you need. I want people to start asking those questions, and just really start thinking about what they've been told and ask like, how is this guy still doing? He's still going. Like people have told me, like this is when I first started, people were trolling me and telling me and just telling everybody that commented on my post, doing this past 1 week is dangerous. He's stupid. He's a fool. He's gonna die. He's gonna get sick. He's gonna be in the hospital. Everyone that commented on my post, they would jump in there before me and comment and tell them that. They were on my personal page.
Yeah.
They were on my personal page, like just blasting me. You know, people like that. Like where they at now? Well, I'm at like 9 weeks in. You said this was dangerous after 1 week. I'm 9 weeks in. Where y'all at? I want the talk to get less and less. I just want people to really think like you've been lied to. Ain't like it's the first time.
I
That's the
know.
way it goes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like whoever, the people are that controls the narrative of our societies. They spend billions of dollars brainwashing us, making us believe what they want us to believe so we support their agenda. Billions of dollars
Yeah.
through every avenue possible. They're they're influencing us, they're lying to us, they're misleading us. And what they're really doing is teaching us how to be sick. They're not teaching us how to be healthy.
No.
Telling me milk does the body good is not teaching me how to be healthy. That's teaching me how to be sick. Telling me to eat more beef or eat more chicken. That's teaching me how to be sick, you know. And a sick people are easy to control, they're easy to manipulate. They just do whatever you say. They just mindlessly follow whatever wherever you lead, like it don't matter. And that's the ultimate goal. They want to do what they want to do without any resistance. They want nobody saying, don't think for yourself. Don't question our authority. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And the biggest strategy that they use is getting us to eat things that's not even food. Because as you talked about the chemicals earlier, that's all this stuff is. It's
Yeah.
chemicals, addictive chemicals, and our emotions are basically just chemical reactions,
Hmm.
right? So when you consume these unnatural chemicals, they interfere with your natural chemical reactions and throw everything off. Like this stuff is really linked to depression and anxiety, suicidal thoughts. Eating this stuff really makes you angry and moody. Like you were talking about your client with the addiction to coffee, which I really feel like it's more an addiction to what's in the coffee. I could be wrong, but then just the regular coffee because there's not a lot of people just drinking straight black coffee. Most people add something to it, and it's what they're adding to it that's addictive. The sugar, the unnatural sweeteners, you know. But either way, let her go without coffee for a week. Like just if she couldn't get it for a week. Ooh, I think it's a she, right? Is it she?
Yeah.
Then you say
Yeah.
it's a she? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how, ooh, she
It
would be
should.
impossible to be around.
Yeah.
It would be impossible to be around her. She would be angry,
It
just
would.
mad at everybody, mad at the world,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because it's just like with any other drug. Your body eventually gets used to it, and now it's depending on it to function, right? It's like it's like when you come off of drugs, you get sick. Heroin addicts call it being dope sick
Mm.
because their body is literally depending on heroin now. And now
Mm.
you didn't just took it away. This affects you. Like the chemical interactions going on within your body, they change. Every time you consume chemicals, you're interfering with natural processes within the body. You're getting sick. This is why, like, people are angry in society.
Yeah.
People are angry. They're overly sensitive. Like, they're always complaining about something. Like, people are just unhappy. They're miserable. And there's definitely a link to what they're eating that's contributing to that. It's a very strong link. Like, you can't even think clearly if you're not eating right. And I think you mentioned that. You're not thinking clearly. Just the fact that you feel like eating the rotten flesh of a dead animal is what you're supposed to eat. Like it's dead. And I just had this really interesting I guess insight on this, right? Like I'm driving down the freeway one day and I look, I passed something that was dead on the side of the road and it was really big. Like I literally thought it was like a bear or something, like a baby bear. And we don't have bears out here. So I'm like, what was that? I need to see what that was. So I pulled over to the shoulder and I backed up on the freeway all the way till I got to it. And it was a really, really big wolf. I didn't even know we had wolves out here. It was a wolf. It was huge. I never knew that wolves were so big. And I walked up on it and it smelled so terrible. So terrible. I couldn't even stand there long and look at it. I had to go. I just couldn't take it, right? And so when people eat what they call meat, which is really all of it's the same. It doesn't matter whether it's chicken, whether it's a cow, you could call it beef if you want, you could call it pork if you want, there's a pig. It doesn't matter what the animal is, it's all the same thing. It's all rotting flesh from a dead animal. You are still eating something that is dead. It's dead. And that rotting process, they add a bunch of chemicals to it so you don't smell it, to make it look better, right? To make the texture better, so it's not so tough, because rigor mortis sets in like almost immediately, right? So it's more pleasing when you see it aesthetically. They're tricking everybody into buying literal rotting flesh. It's rotting. It's still rotting. You can't stop the rotting process. And what happens, they trick you long enough to buy it. You cook it, you eat it. And that rotting process just continues inside of you. It's going to pick up right inside of you. And then all of it never is eliminated from the body. The body doesn't know what to do with that. It doesn't know how to get rid of all of it. So it just sits inside of you for years. This is why people stink. Look what's inside of you. You're literally eating dead animals and you think it's food.
Yes, it's sad that it's been masked so deeply, and it's a condition. It's been conditioned in society. Yeah, I feel there's a lot more waking up to the truths and seeing. Like there are there's like my family. They're like, oh, it's so overwhelming, Toni. Looking at all the labels. I said, yeah, but it's imperative. But if you don't want to look at the labels, just stay away from them. Just eat the whole foods and go back to simplicity. Yeah, I've been there. I've been there where it's like, I don't want to get too obsessed with it, but I'm like obsessed with health and preventative and not, you're going to be obsessed with it when you're sick. And then we don't realize that this catches up. You feel you can get away with it for so long. But why not thrive now? It's not until we experience these, how great you can feel, like the fog's lifted. And it's so much more like shared, you've experienced. But Kev, would you come back on the channel and answer some questions to the viewers?
Absolutely. I would love
Amazing.
to. It would be my pleasure. Absolutely.
Great. So where can people find you right now, Kev? Where's the easiest place?
Kev Ramon. It's the same everywhere.
Yeah.
KEVRAMON. It's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. It's the same everywhere.
I'll put it all in the description box as well. So awesome. We end with the be, feel, and stay rawlicious tag. Kev, are you up for sharing that with me? Saying it. So we say be, feel, stay rawlicious. Are you ready?
I am. Absolutely.
Good spot. So
If I
be,
remember it.
yeah,
Be free.
feel, feel,
Okay, feel,
stay
stay,
rawlicious.
rawlicious. Be free, stay rawlicious. Rawlicious, you be your rawlicious best self.
Yes, that's it. Thank you so much, Kev. You're incredible. Thank you for being the truth seeker and sharing your message. Amazing. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.